it is said of China, long united must divide. Long divided must unite. This has been a famous view of China's very long history. And it is this conception of their history that got them out of the tortuousness of the colonial experience in what they themselves admitted as the 100 years of humiliation. They got out of this humiliation by way of the 1949 revolution led by Mao Zedong. In Japan, also in Southeast Asia, their response to the colonial encroachment was slightly different, but is important for our discussion. When Japan came face to face with the realities of the imperial powers, who they used to believe are barbarians in all standards, they looked at their history and said, of all the things we've known about ourselves, what are the things about our past that are still intact? They said, well, we have a sense of our prestige. But then they said, what remains of this is only the prestige, but we have lost everything that gave us this sense of prestige. And this is why probably the imperialists could travel all the way from Europe and then come to our shores. When they said that if they will come this close, there is something about them which we do not know, because Japan has an iron clad foreign policy, which means that they don't care about the rest of the world, but especially Europe. So if Europeans could sail to our shores, they said, there is something about these people we do not know. In this 200, 300 years or so, we haven't been relating with them. They said, then therefore, what is this thing? We must find out. And the Japanese decided to open their doors to the imperial powers, not only because they gave in, but they wanted to learn from them to know what is it that they are not doing. And in essence, the view is that we should learn from the enemy to defeat the enemy. Now, these two experiences are very important for many communities across the world, especially those who are still trying to come out from similar experiences. Today, we are talking about bouncing back in the Northeast, in Borno State. And it is important we look at these examples to help us chart a way out. Borno is now talking about rebuilding, and of course it will, because it has consistently done that across its 1,000 years or so of history. But essentially, whenever we talk about rebuilding, people like to think about infrastructural rebuilding, physical rebuilding, which in any case we have, because I think we have one of the few societies to ever build new political capital 7 times in their history. We build new political capitals anew 7 times in our history. That is to tell you that if you're talking about physical rebuilding, it is nothing new. And you can see today Borno is being rebuilt in terms of infrastructure. But we are talking about rebuilding the entire mindset of the people of the Northeast. Now, the first experience of crisis in Borno history is actually 7,000 years ago, which started with the desiccation of the Mega Chad and the emergence of the Sahara Desert. That was, in effect, the first and the most difficult environmental experience in the whole of Africa, which forced many communities to migrate either deep into the interiors of Africa or North Africa. But then again, the Borno man did not give up. He took advantage of the emergence of the Sahara Desert and established one of the most powerful commercial networks, the Trans-Saharan trade routes, the Trans-Saharan trade, which provided enough business network for the people of the Sudan, the Blacks, the people of North Africa, and the people of the Arabian Peninsula, which in effect was the reason why majority of the people of Borno are today Muslims, because that network was the same way through which Islam itself came into Borno. Now, out of that experience, a lot of empires were built. The Kanem Borno Empire was built out of that experience, and then to know the extent of that threat, in 1180s, one of the Mais, the emirs of Borno, Mai Duno Mahimemin, had to be killed by Egyptian authorities because of the envy of the powers of Borno, because at that time the territory under effective control of Borno extends a territory from River Niger and the Kawar Oasis. Today about 16 independent countries sit on that territory. Again, in 1386, the first political displacement was recorded in the history of Borno. In 1386, the sitting mayor of Borno, Mai Usman B. Idris, had to flee his capital in Jimi along with his followers and cross westward the Lake Chad into what is present-day Borno. That is in effect the first time these people who call themselves Kanuri, Kanumbu came into Borno State, 1386. That's the first. So what we are saying, in essence, what we have as displacement today is not new. And each time we have experiences like this, we only emerge stronger. When we are forced out of Kano, in 1386 and crossed the Lake Chad, we came into Borno. We were wandering for 100 years until 1470s when we founded another capital in Gazargamu, which is today in parts of Gaidam, Yobe State. When we founded Gazargamu, in a matter of 100 years, we emerged again as one of the most powerful entities in the central Milad Sudan. Our territory expanded east-westward from the Mandra Mountains in Cameroon to the Dala Hills in Kano, and north-southwards from Fezzan in Libya to the upper Benue Valley. That is after we crossed into Borno State, what is today Borno State. In the 19th century, in the face of the Fulani rebellion and the Sokoto Jihad, which almost brought the 1,000 years or so of the history of independent Borno to an end, we bounced back. We built the city, Mai Ahmad was forced out of his capital Gazargaon, and the capital fell temporarily to the Fulani rebels. But then we bounced back, we built a new capital, took our own afresh, and we became strong again. We have consistently come out of our crisis, and each time we do so, we come out stronger. Now, when we are talking about bouncing back, I keep on saying that our past provides us enough resources to chart a way out of our problem. There is a way Borno approach all this crisis across its history. And I think these are very fundamental things which we have experimented. One, each time we have a problem, we always look within for solutions. We always believe that when the society decays, it is the responsibility of the people of the society to do a soul search and ask critical questions about what they may not have been doing, or what they have stopped doing, or what new practices they may have invited. We have consistently done that, and then each time we have crisis, this initiative we have about self-examination gave us a way out. Two, our scholars always rose to the occasion whenever the society is in crisis. Those of us who are privileged to have gone through the four walls of various institutions of learning in the past, of course, have always rose to the occasion to say that, okay, the society now, whatever we see in our society is nothing but a call to the scholars to come and fix. He did that. That is why the Sokoto Jihad Fulani rebellion was put out by Muhammad Al-Amin Al-Kademi, who is a very well-known scholar, widely traveled, with a very deep understanding of international relations, politics, governance, and what have you. He was, however, invited by May Ahmad in 1804 to come and offer prayers in the face of the Fulani rebellion. But when he came, the scholar that he was understood that the problem is beyond just offering prayers. It requires physical intervention. And what did he do? He mobilized the community, his students, and the remaining already battered army of the Safer Ways. And then he led the defense with this, with a community-driven military intervention to force the Fulani rebels out of the capital, and he took the capital back, restored the mine, and this repeated itself 3 times. On the 3rd occasion, he said that when he's based in Gala, for which reason I think we now have the Arabic village in Gala. He was invited to the capital for in 3 occasions to do the same thing. But when he came the 3rd time, he realized that, look, I have to stay close to see to the end of this crisis effectively. Now, he said that my interaction with these rebels reveals that the banner they received from the Sokoto Caliphate to extend the jihad to Borno may be based on misinformation. He wrote to Sultan Muhammad Bello 3 times. And after 3 correspondences where he challenged the credentials of the jihad, we never heard of the Fulani jihad again. He went on to establish Kukawa as the new capital of Borno. But unfortunately, that ended the Sefawa dynasty of 1,000 years, but it ushered in the Elkanemi dynasty from 1846. So our scholars have always been there. In 1386, Mai Uthman bin Idris said that he decided to flee the capital on account of the advice given to him by the ulama, by the scholars. Similarly, during Mai Ali Gaji, who founded Gazargamu, he emphasized, in fact, our scholars were not even paying taxes because he said the credit for everything he may have achieved is exclusively due to the scholars. He mentioned two very important scholars. Many of their descendants we know today. My Sheikh Usman Masbarma and Abdul Kuwata. Some people know their descendants. So the scholars have always rising up to the occasion, and I believe those of us who have had the privilege of going to school, whatever crisis we have in the society is a call for us to rise up. Thirdly, is the initiativeness of our communities, the semblance of which we've experienced during the civilian JTF. Each time Borno is in crisis, the community always came forward with initiatives. They only look forward to a leader to emerge. If a leader gives them a sense of direction, our people always join whatever initiative to build back the society. It was exactly what kept the independence of Borno in the 19th century. Now, we have experimented this, and the result is what we now have in the form of Yarwa Express News. In 2013, 14, 15, many of us will not travel out of Maiduguri without changing our number plates to either Kano or Lagos or Abuja because of the stigma, the harassment you will suffer because you come from the Northwest. When you are competing for a new job in the office in Abuja, your colleagues will what? Will give up because probably it might be Boko Haram. The stigma is just all over the place. We realize that this is the reality of our society unless we come forward to tell our stories. We didn't go to Premium Times to tell them that, look, these things we are reporting, Premium Times or Daily Trust, we didn't go to them to tell them that what we are reporting about us is not accurate or is not the complete story. We said we will start our newspaper. We started and we are 5 years old. And when we started, we didn't have the resources to bring in experts. We were starting zero. I left my job. So we are starting with zero. What did we do? I only spoke to a few people I know, and I told them that this is a challenge we need to solve. And because we always join whatever initiative from our genes, the people joined me. Within the first year, we rose from 4 to 30-something of volunteers who provided full-time services for free. That emphasizes to me what I know about our history, that our people would always join initiatives to build the community. And then again, some of the people I brought in were people that could never pay. But my argument was always that the society has offered you everything. Your parents have played a very important role in building the society, and it is now falling. You are educated, You have every privilege, and whatever knowledge you have is a privilege. This is what our history teaches us. You have to bring it out. And then people I could not hire by way of money at that time joined the efforts, and we built one of the most reliable newspapers in the Northeast today, and we are even aspiring to do more. This team and this belief, these three fundamental approaches have helped us to build several other businesses aside from Yerwa Express News.